Well, hi there. I'm Diana Montford, the world's first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female, you know the drill. Do you believe in outer space? Do you believe in inner space? Do you believe in a space between your teeth? Do you believe in space, period? Well, let's find out. My guest is Mr. Nick Curto, who is an expert on something called the Urantia Book, which is basically an explanation of the cosmos, how we got here, why we got here, what this is all about. Why are we here? Let's find out. My guest, Mr. Nick Curto.
Diana, thank you so much for having me as your guest. It's a total pleasure.
My pleasure. So now, what is the Urantia Book exactly?
The Urantia Book is one of the most amazing publications certainly I've ever come across. It talks about the biggest possible picture of who we are, a relationship to each other, a relationship to God, a relationship to our brothers and sisters in other realms of the universes. They talk about 7 super universes that are all populated. It talks about the life of Jesus, and it gives the amazing description of all the years we never knew about, that no one had ever covered in detail.
Meaning other advanced civilizations on Earth before our own.
It doesn't go there as much as it traces the history of the people on our planet. It goes into Adam and Eve, of course. It goes into all the populations that way. It goes into where we're from on that level. But it says it doesn't stop there. There were life givers who came to this planet to get us started.
Would those be the Anunnaki?
It would be that and other beings. It's an incredible telling of what was once millions of years ago happening to our planet.
Which is basically why we human beings share 99 point something genes with apes, because the other point something genes are the ET, the extraterrestrial genes, combined with the dense animals here on Earth.
Exactly, and it's just mind-boggling how that goes from one level to another level, and eventually to us as our civilization now. It is so mind-expanding that you just feel as though you've hitched a ride on a truth book that is nonstop. It's 2,000 pages. You would be riveted. It's like, I say, it's like potato chips. Once you start reading this book, you will continue on.
I bought a copy 20-something years ago.
Excellent.
And loved it and found it, well, I kept having aha moments. As I was reading it, I thought, I knew that. I knew this. Oh, I remember that. It's very, you don't really know what it's about until you read it, but once you read it, it makes perfect sense, even though it doesn't seem to make sense, because I know that, for example, the famous psychic Sylvia Browne, for whom I have a great deal of respect, the late, great Sylvia Browne, said that she couldn't make head or tail of it, which surprised me, because
interesting.
I mean, how psychic was she? You know, but
okay.
Get someone to explain it to you, Sylvia, for God's sake. But I have total respect for Sylvia Browne's talent and what she did with her life. But I'm sorry that she did not get from the Urantia Book what so many of us have been fortunate enough to get.
That is a shame, and surprising too for me. What I tell people to do is to take a look at the chapters of the Urantia Book. It's in 4 sections, and look at the chapters and see what is appealing to you. What challenges you. Go to those first. That's what I do.
That's what I do. I have yet to read it straight through from page 1 to the final page, but I do read the chapters I find interesting and skip around and just...
Absolutely. That's the way to do it. And the thing that's I can't explain this, but the first 4 sections, the first section is by far the hardest which is interesting because you'd think that the hardest would be towards the end, as
Yeah.
we normally would write a book.
To prepare. Well, this was channeled. Let's talk about where this book came from.
Very interesting story. What we do know, and again, it was done in the 20s and 30s in Chicago, here in the United States, when a woman, a wife, said that her husband was going under extreme sessions of not being able to be woke up, that he would say things that he couldn't possibly know.
It's called bootleg gin, but okay.
Well, and so she was so concerned, and so she reached out to someone named Dr. William Sadler, who was a researcher. He dug into the paranormal. He dug into truth. He wanted to know at the time if some of the people that were doing channelings were legitimate or not.
Yes.
And he was famous for that. And she knew about him because he lectures and he wrote books.
Basically, he was a debunker on the order of Harry Houdini,
There
who
you
also
go.
went around debunking quote-unquote psychics until he found some who couldn't be debunked.
Exactly, exactly. So that's what happened, and she reached out to him, and he said, "I will meet with you," which he did. And her husband went into this again, the sleep. They call him the sleeping subject, for lack of a better name.
Right.
And he started saying things that were unbelievably amazing, deep research, deep information, and Sadler couldn't believe his ears. When the man came out of it, he said, "Was I asleep at all?" And he said, "Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, you were." He said, "Did I say anything?" He said, "Well, yeah." He said, "All right." He wasn't interested in what he was saying, because the reason for that, I think, is because they chose somebody who really was, like a television set, passing information, but not taking credit for it, because it really wasn't information that he was spouting as his own information.
Right.
It was only going through
It was
him.
not unlike Edgar Cayce channeling other things.
Right on the money.
And they actually thought, the Urantia entities thought of using Edgar Cayce, but he was not amenable on a subconscious level to being used that way, since he already had other things going on with his psychic abilities. So.
Exactly. And so Dr. William Sadler had a wonderful, it's still there, a little mansion in Chicago. And he and his wife used to do soirees, which they would invite people, doctors, lawyers, friends.
Yeah, before television, people gave parties.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this was done on a Sunday afternoon. And he started, again, going out to the sleeping subject on a regular basis. And this lasted years and years. And so he said to the group, "I'm going to say something to you, but I need complete secrecy. Would you promise me that you won't say anything about what I'm going to tell you?" They said yes. And then Dr. Sadler told of what was going on with this research project with this sleeping subject. And during one of the sessions, through the sleeping subject, the voice said, "Why are you asking such trivial questions when you could be asking such deeper?" And Sadler took the challenge and said to the people in the room, in the soiree, "Would you create all the questions you would possibly want to have answered?" This was in the hundreds.
Yeah.
What would you ask if you were one of those people?
Is there life after death?
Okay.
Can life be prolonged indefinitely? Life and youth?
Oh, okay.
A productive life, not just, can, I don't know, can one time travel? Can one see the dead?
Excellent. Excellent. And is there life on other planets? Are angels real? Who was Jesus? How did he seek this planet and choose this planet for his final incarnation?
Well, no, this is not so much a Christian book.
No, it's not a Christian book.
It's more of a metaphysical book. In other words, they mention Jesus in the sense that when this was channeled, the prevailing religion in the United States was some Christian denomination.
Exactly.
But that is not, people of any religion can get something from this. Muslims, Buddhists,
Oh boy, that's for
Jews,
sure.
everyone.
Absolutely.
Everybody can get. So, well, how can they? Okay, so now this was channeled.
And eventually it was published in 1955.
Uh-huh.
And they sent this book it didn't have this cover. It was a plainer blue cover.
Yes, yes.
And they sent this to everyone they could that was from various religions. They wanted it to be disseminated widely, which it was. And then a committee formed to publish the book, to keep it going with funding. And little study groups started forming so they could get together and read the book and understand what it was.
Yes.
I have a book study group here in New York City that meets twice a month at the Gay Center on West 13th Street.
Wonderful.
Everybody is welcome. It's for free. And it's the first and third Sunday from 1 to 2 o'clock.
And you don't mind my telling people that you might be gay?
I take pride in that. I've been a gay activist since 1967.
And you look fantastic.
Well, thank you, Diana. I could say the same.
Well, thank you.
And I came to New York from Boston, where I went to art school, and I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Advertising Graphic Design. And one of the reasons I came to New York was to seek other religions, other spiritual callings.
Yeah.
I really wanted to know. And I
Weren't you originally Catholic?
I was, yes. My mother and father were Catholic. Catholic, and my mother being Irish, my dad being Italian. My father's sister, one of his sisters, was a nun in the Catholic Church.
Oh, wonderful.
And she was a dynamo. You would have loved
My
her.
grandfather was once a Catholic priest, my maternal grandfather.
So here we go. Yeah. So I came from that background. There was a moment in my teens when I thought of becoming a priest. I did. But I thought, somehow that's not totally resonating to me. Something in that area, but not exactly that.
I agree, yeah. And my own grandfather left the priesthood because he felt he could do more good outside of it.
See, that makes sense to me too. And look where I am now. I've got an amazing group here in New York, Disclosure Network New York, and we embrace research for the UFO community.
Wonderful.
Including people photograph a video of UFOs over the skies of Manhattan.
Oh, yeah,
you wouldn't believe what's up there.
I would.
Well, you would, yeah. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners would also. Yeah. And we have video. They bring it in and we show them on a big video screen. We discuss it. Two amazing guys who do photograph of UFOs all the time said when they were showing their work at one of our meetings, and they said, we had the tripod up on the roof, and we were photographing a UFO, and a black car pulls up. They were probably on the 8th floor of a building in one of the suburbs, and two men get out in black suits.
Oh, men in black.
For sure. Yeah. And they lean against the car, they fold their hands, and they're looking up at my two friends who were photographing UFOs.
Oh, yeah.
As we know you're doing that. And then after a while, they got back in their car and they just left.
There are a ton of stories of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are no secrets in the universe. And in our primitive little way, we think we're so intelligent. And in our primitive little way, we are not.
Boy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We're still learning. And boy, have we got a lot to learn about nuclear weapons and what's going on right now.
But anyway, so now this was channeled, and it's very famous. It's been translated into every major and some minor languages. This is not a religion.
No, it's not at all.
It is not a cult.
Yep.
It is simply a book of knowledge. You never have to. I've been to one meeting in my entire life for this. I'm not a joiner, so meetings aren't my thing. But it was fascinating, very nice people. I just don't like meetings. And you can read this in the privacy of your home or apartment. And you never have to deal with anyone at any time. You can just grow from reading it. And if it makes sense to you, good. And if it doesn't, well, that's fine too.
And it's also free on the internet, which people don't realize.
You can get it for free. See, we used to have to buy these. I bought mine, but that's okay. It was reasonably priced.
Right, but of course they were in Barnes & Noble and all the major stores, and Amazon, so forth.
In the metaphysics section, I believe.
But to get a taste of the book, you can just go to urantiabook.org. Can we hold it?
Sure.
URANTIA book, BOOK.org, and that will get you the entire book, which you can read.
For free.
For free. And that's, a lot of people do that, and then once they get the taste, then they want the actual copy of it.
Sure, the hard copy.
And also in this book, there is a recording if you prefer to listen, which is incredible that they've got this now.
I am not advertising anything, but this is a fascinating book.
It is.
You know how interested in metaphysics I am. I myself found it very instructive and life-affirming, and it sort of proved all my intuitions about life and the universe. I loved it. You can get it for free on the internet, not risking anything, won't cost you anything. May as well read it. Again, the Urantia Book. Fascinating book. And you never have to go to a meeting if you don't want to, but if you do want to and want to meet like-minded people, there you go.
I can honestly say that some of the most wonderful people in my entire life are also Urantia Book readers. That community, I just so love the people in it.
Yeah.
They're caring, they're sharing.
Yeah.
And when I travel, since there's study groups all over the world, like I went to Hawaii once, and I went to Texas, and I look up and see where the study groups are, and I call them up and say, is it all right, I'm from New York, if I can come? And they say, you bet. And they read the book, they discuss it. Some of them have popcorn machines. They like to snack.
Sure.
You know,
and it's a great social occasion if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Or you can read it, as I've said, in the privacy of your home and never tell anyone that you read it. And never, you can be I only believe in what I can see type of person out there in the world. Meanwhile, at home, you have a huge metaphysical library, and you're leafing through things and thinking, yes, yes, yes. But, yeah, if you like metaphysics, try it. It's free. Get it on the internet, and you have nothing to lose. So, and it's very interesting. Even if, now I happen to believe that this is true, the Urantia Book, even if it were fiction, it would be very interesting fiction. You know?
Oh boy, would it ever. And you know, the word Urantia means our planet Earth.
I know.
Right, that's, I want to make that point, that's what they call our planet, Urantia. How interesting is that? I found this book, quick story if we have time.
Sure.
I was going to St. Patrick's for a long time.
St. Patrick's Cathedral?
Cathedral here in New York City. And then I decided I wanted to try something else, and I went to a Unitarian church, which is on 79th and Lexington Avenue. It's a beautiful church there.
Near where we both live. We both live on the Upper East Side.
All Souls Church, it's a beautiful building. I went in there, and I was there for 2 years. Every Sunday I would go, and they were reading from the Torah, from the Bible.
From everything,
E.E. Cummings. It was a wonderful education. And after 2 years, one Sunday morning, the minister said, and for our last reading today, we're going to read from the Urantia Book.
You must have been surprised.
And I thought maybe that's an Eastern Indian book. I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know what it was?
Not at
yet.
all. Not at all. So he read 2 paragraphs, and you know how a deer in the lights of a car? I was like, what in the world? I mean, this was so spellbinding. It was so amazing to me. And the wording and what they were saying, it was light years. It was amazing. And then he said, after it was over, he said, okay, everybody, you may go now, go in peace. Everybody files out of this beautiful church. Diana, I had to stay there for 15 minutes because I literally had to hold on to the pew. It was that powerful for me.
Yeah.
And I said, I've got to remember how to spell Urantia, Urantia, because I have to find out more about this book. It was that powerful to me.
Yeah. Sure.
So that's how it found me, I found it.
Exactly. I don't even remember how I found it.
I was going to ask you that too,
yeah,
if a
I
friend
don't even,
or...
No.
Okay.
I just, I don't know.
There's at least two books, and the book is
I
titled...
think it found me, frankly.
Oh, I could believe.
Yeah.
There were at least 2 books, and it says How I Found the Urantia Book, and there were stories worldwide of people and how they came across this book.
What's funny is I have a very good memory, and I do not, for the life of me, remember how I got into it.
If you ever, I would love to know. If you ever do remember, please let me know.
I honestly think it found me, frankly.
So do I.
Yeah.
I was ready for it.
Yeah,
exactly. I was open to it.
Exactly.
And here we go. And
when it's time, it's time.
My life certainly widened. I feel it, my expansion of knowledge went like that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people say that. It opens you up.
Well, actually, I found it corroborated my intuition about a lot of things, and I remember thinking, yes, I know this. Yes, I remember this. I mean, it just, it made perfect sense.
When I was a kid and they told me that Jesus died on a cross for our sins, the atonement doctrine, which is a foundation of Christianity.
Yes.
And as a kid, I thought, I don't think so. Something said no to me, like a loving God sending his son to be punished and killed. Something about that just said, I don't know the answer, but I don't embrace that. And,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
later, the Urantia book says, no, a loving Father, God, the universal Father, would never do something like that. It doesn't embrace at all the atonement doctrine. And
No,
I
well,
thought,
that's what I mean. It's not really denominational.
no,
It's,
not at all. And I
anyone
love that.
can get into
It was
it, yeah.
underlining what even as a kid, I had a problem with that. And this book is saying, you know what? You were right. That's not what happened. And so I don't know if this would upset some Christians, but they should examine through this book.
I upset some Christians, so don't worry about
Oh, I
it.
bet you have.
Just
Me
my
too.
very existence
Me too.
upsets them. And yes, you too. Those of us who are not straight tend to do that.
You know what I'd like to do is
What?
the Urantia book describes the home of Mary and Joseph and the home of Jesus growing up in detail.
Yes, but here's my point. Don't take this the wrong way.
Sure.
Maybe there was no historical Jesus, but at the time this was channeled, people needed to hear this.
Okay.
So while I'm not sure that I believe in something that produced a most lucrative worldwide religion, forgive me for being cynical here.
No.
Maybe there was no Jesus, but people need to believe there was, and that makes them happy. And that's the whole deal, just trying to get through this life one way or another.
Fair enough.
So, but if you're into UFOlogy,
Oh, boy.
into extraterrestrials, this book is a wealth of information about that. And as I've said, look, I happen to believe it about all the ETs and all that. Even if it's fiction, it's damn good fiction. So try it, and it's free. We're not, Just go on the internet, punch in the Urantia Book, Urantia book, and there you go.
.org.
.org. Yes. Anything else you'd like to tell
Well,
us?
just also there's one other website that is for specifically New York City, and that is Urantia, URANTIA
I wonder how much time we
.NYC.
Was that just the director telling us that we...
Oh.
I don't know. It was behind my
Oh.
back. But anyway, what we need is a nice ET to tell me what time it is. But anyway, so now, can people contact you? And
Absolutely.
how can they do that?
I would be honored. My personal email, I would be happy to give that. NICKNYNY, the figure 1 at gmail.com. Nick, NYNY1 at gmail.com.
Okay.
And I would be happy to discuss the book, let them know more about this. There's another study group in down in the Battery Park City that also meets once a month. And my study group meets twice, like I said, the first and third Sunday of every month throughout the year.
That's wonderful.
It's free, and we would love to have people come and share the book.
And do we know how much time we have left? Hello? 4 minutes. See, that was a voice from outer space. But anyway, or maybe not. Maybe I'm exaggerating a trifle. But can you tell me when we're through? Hello? Okay. Another voice from
There's
outer
a voice.
space.
I hear the voice.
Ooh. Yes. But anyway, okay, now, your meetings are totally free. They are
Yes.
twice a month at the center
At
here
the
in
Gay
New York.
Center on 208 West 13th Street. It's on the
Yes.
3rd floor. And it's a beautiful center, by the way. They did a major
I
renovation.
know. Good
Incredible.
heavens. Yeah.
And our room is beautiful. It can hold maybe 15, 16 people.
Yeah.
And then after that, if they want, there's another group called Disclosure Network New York, the Paranormal UFO group,
Yeah.
and that follows.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yes, so they could,
Yeah.
if they're interested, they could go to study the Urantia book and then go across the hallway.
Absolutely wonderful. Right, one right after the other.
Yeah.
So if you're a UFOologist, as they say, this is really good for you. In fact, gee, you know, if I'm free on Sunday, I may just toddle on over and see what's what. As I've said, I'm not really a joiner, and I'm not crazy about meetings, but this sounds so interesting. I may just dip a toe in meeting water.
I hope we've tempted you to come to one of our meetings.
Yes, I hope so. Oh, well, I did go to one of your meetings years ago in Soho.
That was Robin, Helene, Jorgensen,
Wonderful
the most
people.
amazing people,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I was there for almost 25 years. Every once a week they would do a study group, and I would be there.
Yeah, and it was an excellent group. I'm just not a group person.
Now they've moved, but Helene now does a once a month study group in Battery Park City, and I can give that information too.
Give it.
Sure, which is if they email me, I can give them all of that.
Oh, okay.
The detail.
And again, your email address?
Nick, NYNY1 @gmail.com.
Okay.
I'd be thrilled and happy to do anything I can to help them.
And he means it. Urantia people are sort of honest, you know. I mean, why not, right? So, as I've said, hey, it works for me, you know. I like this book, and I'm also into Edgar Cayce, as you know, and other things, and UFOs and other esoterica. But, yeah. Anyway, so my guest has been Mr. Nick Curto, who is the, what would you call yourself?
Well, I'm the chair of the outreach committee of the Urantia Society of Greater New York, which is made up of Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York people who read the Urantia book.
Great.
It's a wonderful organization, 3 states.
Yeah, the tri-state area.
We have meetings once every couple of months.
Always in Manhattan? Or where?
No, sometimes Connecticut, sometimes New Jersey.
Oh, wonderful.
Sure.
So wherever you are, you can attend a meeting should you wish to.
Absolutely.
And Nick Curto has been into this for many, many years. And I've certainly been into it for a long, 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 long time. And as I've said, it's free. It's on the internet. Check it out. They don't want your money. They're not trying to get anything from you. They're decent, nice people, and they seem to have a sense of the infinite and of much larger possibilities than most of us have been taught here on Earth. But anyway, my guest has been Mr. Nick Curto, outreach person for the Urantia Book. Urantia, yes, and I'm Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. Listen, whether you like metaphysics or not, whether you believe in ETs or not, whether you like the weather. Everybody talks about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Anyway, Mark Twain, I love you a lot, and I want you to take real good care of yourself. And I'll see you next time. You take real good care of yourself. Love you. Bye.